We ended up hiring somebody. We brought on another branch. We figured out how to make the automatic calls go. So our system gets updated once every week. So we can hit the new 7-day calls. We go right to the 30-day calls. We go to the 6-month calls and the 1-year phone calls. And we started right around July 4th. Didn't really know how it was going to go. I wrote the scripts. I had the concierge, Grace, who we hired, who's fantastic. She really fits the role well. We brought her on. She started making phone calls. And I think last time I checked, we've referred out 17 financial advisor referrals.
Hey guys, Wally Olivieri. All right, so what is 24/7 mindset? Most times when you hear 24/7, you're thinking what? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just grinding, hustling. I learned over time, a 24-year career in mortgage and multiple other businesses that I own is, unfortunately, you'll get burnt out. I became an absent father, I became an absent husband, and I became a poor business leader because I was trying to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, trying to build a business, maintain a business. When I learned how to work smarter, not just harder, by doing things the best way it could be done, instead of just simply doing my best, I learned how to work only 24 hours a week, 7 months a year, while I got paid from the business residually 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can do the same. Welcome to the show. So today we're sponsored by, just kidding, we're not sponsored by Celsius, but let's set that over here on the side. All right, guys, it's Wally Olivieri. This is one of our first lives in here, which I'm really excited about. I have no idea what I'm doing, but we'll figure this out and see if we can add some value today. All right, so I've got Blake with me today, and Blake was connected to me through a mutual friend, which turned is a realtor. And we're not in the same city or state, but however, the models and systems that you guys are learning from 24/7 mindset through the academy are the same models and systems that I shared with Blake. And Blake, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then from there, about your volume of production, who are you, how long you've been in the business, and let's talk about your successes.
Yeah. So we're a local branch to the Maryland area. We work for Absolute Home Mortgage, which is a local correspondent lender. On my team, we have about 5 loan officers, 1 loan officer's assistant, 2 processors, and then we just hired a new operations manager to help along with supporting our loan officers. We were looking at the time for, I guess, let me go into volume. This year, I think last year I was around 65 million. This year we'll probably end up being around 55 to 60 million as well. And then the 2 prior COVID years, we hit about 100. I personally hit about 100 million. And then the branch generally does another 20 to 30 million on top of whatever my production is. Uh, Coming into this year, I really wanted to grow the team. I wanted to grow my loan officers. I wanted to be a big support. And when we got connected, you know, when you were telling me your success story and how you wanted to give back and you wanted to grow your loan officers, and then obviously when you created this community, that was the biggest draw to me, and where I wanted to continue my conversations with you was how you grew your team. You took somebody that trusted you, wanted to get into the mortgage business, and then blossomed into a professional, right? And both their career and their profession with being a loan officer, but also personally, right? When you take big steps in your career, you're taking big steps personally as well. And I wanted to give my employees as well as my coworkers that same growth. So when I got introduced to you and you started talking to me about the client concierge, it just like lit a spark. And I took our first conversation. I said to you, I'm going to get back to you in 6 months. I'm going to digest this. I'm going to implement this. And then, Wally, tell me, I can't remember. I think maybe our first call was maybe in like February or March. So I hit this. I bypassed the 6 months, but I'm proud to say we hired a full-time concierge for the branch. We actually brought on another branch of Absolute to kind of cook, because I'm like looking at my data and I'm like, I don't know if I have enough data for her, right? So we ended up hiring somebody. We brought on another branch. We figured out how to make the automatic calls go. So our system gets updated once every week. So we can hit the new 7-day calls. We go right to the 30-day calls. We go to the 6-month calls and the 1-year phone calls. And we started right around July 4th. Didn't really know how it was going to go. I wrote the scripts. I had the concierge Grace, who we hired, who's fantastic. She really fits the role well. We brought her on. She started making phone calls. And I think last time I checked, we've referred out 17 financial advisor referrals. And in our mutual friend, who will keep unnamed because we don't want to blow him up too much, but he's benefited a lot from this.
Yeah.
We've referred over to new construction referrals.
So
One,
time out, time out, time
yep,
out. So his name is Nick, one of my
yep,
best friends, and he's not part of this page. So you can't be a realtor part of this page. It's only loan officers. So he won't see it. But I mean, let's chew on that. Let's pause for a
yep,
second. You're giving me way too much data. So
yep, yep. Let me back up then.
So let's just go through this. Okay. So we talked in March.
Yep.
You implemented the models and systems for the client concierge. Then from there, on top of that, you now have a client concierge. You're giving out referrals to wealth partners. You're getting referrals back. You gave out 17 referrals.
We gave out 17 referrals.
In what is that? Less than maybe 5 months, somewhere in that range.
No, we just started making the phone calls in July.
In
So,
60 days, you've given out 17 referrals.
yep.
You've gotten back 2 non-realtor attached referrals.
Yep.
That you've taken those 2 and you handed them on a silver platter to your realtor, Nick.
Correct.
Is there any reason that realtor will ever fire you?
No, I hope not, right? As long
There's
as
no
we're
reason.
closing on time and funding on time.
Do you think that realtor is ever going to question you and say, hey, Blake, we send you a ton of business. Come pay $1,000 or $2,000 a month for my Zillow leads?
No, and it's an added value to the realtor partners, right? And we have the nice part is, look, I wanted to make sure we were jumping in and really being a resource there for that team as well as a lot of the other teams, because we're lucky. My business derives probably from a lot of the same realtors. We have a wide web, but with every realtor that we do work with, we're adding some sort of value, right? Whether it's social media videos, now this concierge service is another thing that we're adding on top of that.
Well, I mean, think of it as like, not only do you have job security now, however, on top of all that, the relationship's going to evolve. The relationship is going to change. I've always said there's something I've learned to live by. For you to add value, you have to become valuable.
Yep.
For you to add value, everybody says you got to add value. You got to add value. You have to be valuable to be able to add value. You can't just be non-valuable. Can't just be transactional and think that you're going to add value. Correct. So I'd say let's pause for a second and go to these. Let's pause from the successes, because you're a freaking badass. But let's talk about some of your failures, right? So let's talk about either failures on the calls when you started implementing the models and the systems and and my client concierge process. Tell me about that failure so other people can learn, so they can be successful like you.
Yeah, so the biggest thing that I noticed in the beginning was, I wanted to implement. So if I was redoing my business model, I think the hardest part was making the phone calls after closing. I'll tell you how we found an issue and then we fixed it. But my biggest suggestion to anybody starting this is ask during the pre-approval process if they are working with a financial advisor or CPA, and then figure out with your company how to record that information. That way, after closing, it doesn't become this like blindly ask, why are they now asking me if I have a financial advisor or CPA? Now, Wally, I use your line all the time. You play defense during the mortgage, let us play offense, right? So I use that line. But the biggest thing is now I'm having conversations on the front end and I'm asking, hey, do you have a CPA? I'd love to get their 2 cents during the pre approval process as we're lining up your budget. They say no. And I say, well, let's do one thing at a time. I'm going to listen to you. I want to understand you. I'm going to write down some financial advisors that I think would fit you. Once we get your budget, once we get you moving, I can understand if it's too much during the actual loan process now. But once we're closed, I'm going to remind you that we got to get you to play some offense, get your money invested correctly, and then we'll get you over to the right financial advisor. So what I did was, because I was noticing it's kind of an awkward conversation when you're just coming out of the blue after somebody closes with you. Oh, do you have a financial advisor? Well, Blake, why are you asking that? So we team that up. 7-day phone call, Grace calls. We're asking them, how did it go? Rate us. We're trying to get reviews. We're actually trying to bring the realtor back in to get their reviews done. We're emailing them saying, thank you so much for the conversation, right? Thank you for the 5-star review, putting the realtor on that email so they see that we are following up. And then the 30-day phone call, when we start talking about finances again, we start talking about making their first mortgage payment. We ask them about their financial advisor situation. Then what I'm doing, because I just started this, I have, abundance of clients that haven't been followed up with in the past. I'm now going and I'm using my 6-month script for anybody who's closed in the last 2 years. Even if they should be in line for an annual review, I have Grace reaching out to them. So biggest issue I found was coming out of nowhere, asking them if they want a financial advisor. So I teamed that up with, all right, we're going to get you familiar with our client concierge service. Then on the next phone call, we're going to start talking to you about who your mortgage payment's going to be. Do you need any referrals? We're asking them if they want contractors and people of that nature. But then we're also asking, hey, in regards to financial advising CPA, can we help you with that?
Well, what's super brilliant is you're implementing everything exactly how I built it. Mm-hmm. And the super successful loan officers I've seen out there don't try to reinvent the wheel. If it's a proven concept, if it's a proven model, and you just implement specifically step by step, which you're successfully doing. What's been the hardest part for you to implement?
It was the people. It was probably the data, getting the data organized and making sure it flows in. One of the things, Wally and I, you might be doing this. We implemented it. I have Grace not only on that 7-day phone call, reach out to the buyer's agent, let them know what we're doing on our side, but I'm also having her reach out to the listing agent and asking them to rate us. How did we do on the transaction? And then when they say you did really, really good, what I'm doing is I'm tying the loan officer back into that email so they know to follow up with the listing agent. Say, hey, listing agent just gave us a great review. Thank you so much for it. Then the loan officer can then reach right out to them, right? Talk to them, get to know them. Say, hey, Grace was calling. That's our client concierge. They now have an opening line to say to the listing agent, we are trying to get referrals from our former clients. Is your lender doing that right now? Right. And Wally, if they're listening to a lot of the stuff that you're saying, they should already know who the loan officer is because they called when they submitted the contract.
Well, what's beautiful about that is talking to the listing agent after closing and getting that review. I would be a perfect time to say, oh, hey, Blake, what this real quick. Thanks for the review, blah, blah, blah. However, are you familiar with my post-closing process that allows me to refer 2 referrals back to my realtor so far this month? And on those NIC deals, what was the price point, you think?
I think both of them are new construction down in Virginia. So it should be, we're talking probably 550, 600,000 for both of them.
So both combined or 600,000 each?
Both of them each.
Okay, so 1.2 million.
Yeah.
And realtors in Dallas get paid 3%. Is that what realtors in?
Yeah, we're probably looking at 2 to 2.5% just because of what the builders are paying.
Okay, so I would structure the script as, yeah, you just generated $30,000 in income for your realtor.
Yep.
I mean, you need to be articulating that to a T. And I'd even say, hey, listen, this listing agent. I was able to generate this last month $30,000 that went under contract in commissions for my trusted and loyal realtor partners. I don't know what your loan officer has been able to help you generate. However, would you like to sit down and go through how I can do the same for you?
Yep.
I mean, that's a brilliant thing, especially after closing. Pull that listing agent into the post-closing process. It'll be so much easier for you to prospect it.
And Wally, I'm going to throw another thing at you that we've been doing, which I think is helpful, is you educate. This is another thing for loan officers. You educate the realtor on how to refer, right? It's, let them know this is what we're doing. When Grace sends out an email, like call the client, call them and be like, wow, isn't it great what Absolute's doing? Isn't it great what we're doing? We're keeping up with you after closing. And I always tell the realtors now, they can rely on us to do this follow-up so then they can actually base their follow-up off of it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm having Grace, the concierge, explain to them the drips too that'll be going out throughout the year, whether we're always trying to be ahead of the curve with, hey, they're going to get a drip from us when their tax statement goes out, when their tax bill goes out, obviously, but their 1098 statement goes out. We want to be on top of that, and we want them to get the drip email from us and then be able to find it in the mail. Because the one thing I don't want coming from my office is people unsubscribing from our emails because we're sending them like the favorite recipe of the month, right? I want it to be super informative. And now I have that person to kind of be that, like you said, concierge, walking them through what being a homeowner looks like and what to look out for and how we can continue to be a resource for them even after closing.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. It's such a great way that watching you implement that. And I have a good question for you.
Yeah.
You ready for this one?
I'm ready.
What did I share back with you back in March about the client concierge process that you were like, wow, that Wally guy is full of BS. There's no way in heck this will work, or, this is blowing smoke. And now you know that it's true.
I think the hardest thing to capture, right, is we're all just we're hunters, right? And we go where the leads generally come from, and we don't feel that we're being successful with our craft unless we're talking to 200, 300 agents, right? Or, we feel like we're only having a good day if we come into the office and we make, 10 prospecting calls to realtors. It's not about that. And I've kind of transformed the way that my loan officers at my office prospect. I don't even care if they're talking to realtors anymore. Go talk to your friends, your family, your referral partners. There's ways to ask for referrals other than going to a realtor and saying, hey, do you have any buyers for me? Obviously, you should still be doing that, but you shouldn't feel unsuccessful. So now looking at it, when I was listening to you, I'm like, man, that was a big gamble that Wally took, right? Putting that much faith into this concept that, really financial advisors would be able to give back, but they want to, right? Because they're in a situation where they've never had anybody come to them with this many leads. Like I just said, 17. I sent out 17. Does that mean I'm going to get 17 buyers back? Probably not. But what I'm going to get is I'm going to get a big database of current clients that we're going to be able to work through when rates drop. We're going to be, instead of selling one client on a refinance, we're probably going to be selling 15 people on a Zoom call. So it's just setting up that foundation that really got me excited for this. But yeah, when I first heard you say that and how you're getting business and how you grew your branch, I was like, man, it's a big gamble. But after a lot of thought, I'm only 4.5, 5 months from our conversation. I have somebody who's been on my payroll for for a month already for it, right? I rewrote all the scripts, so loved your scripts, but I wanted it to be, something that I wanted it to sound like Blake Hyatt wrote it, right? I didn't want it to be anything that wasn't originated from me. So luckily my wife makes me travel with her a lot, so we've been traveling a good amount this year, and every plane ride I was writing the 7 day script, the 30-day script, and just utilize my no wi-fi time or my no phone availability to write scripts. And we're loving it.
Dude,
We
you have made my day and then some.
yeah,
Made my day and then some. I mean, it's just super cool. Like, I remember, Blake, when I believed in myself, and every other loan officer like, Wally, you're an idiot. You got all these big realtors. Go after bigger realtors. Go after bigger realtors. Go after bigger realtors. I'm like, there's something there.
yeah.
There's something there. I know it's there. And when no one else sees it, and you're the only one that can see it, and it's just like, you're an idiot, Wally. Go after agents. Go after builders. Go after agents. Go after builders. And it's like, dude, but these financial advisors, man, they have these networks. These CPAs have these massive databases.
Yep.
These insurance, man, like, as a loan officer, how many insurance agents come to your door and ask for business? But we never think, how many clients do they have? How can I do mortgage efficiency checkups to their clients?
And it's exciting too, because you can talk to, like, I literally talk to realtors now, and I'm like, hey, we're about to get a referral. They're like, what do you mean we're about to get a referral? I'm like, I'm about to send a financial advisor a referral from you because we have a client who I know is going to ask, right? And I tell everybody, even for loan officers who don't have a concierge service, that was something nice. Look, I worked a lot of, we closed a lot of loans, and I bust my, butt to be able to hire somebody at the drop of a hat if I think it's a good idea, right? But obviously not everybody has those resources yet. They need to at least be doing the annual mortgage review, because I generate, just by me making those phone calls, I'm getting referrals, and those referrals are going back to these advisors that we're working with. And for your loan officers who don't have that network, go to the realtors and ask them, who do you use as your financial advisor? Who do you use as your CPA? You can keep it within their network, but it's a conversation point.
Well, I think right now, so there's a great buddy of mine, an author named Pat Hyben. He's actually in the Maryland area. He wrote a book called 6 Steps to 7 Figures. 6 Steps to 7 Figures. And step number 3 of the 6 is called Build on It. And man, that was one of my favorite books I've ever read. One of my favorite chapters. Really changed my mindset. And what the point I'm trying to make to you, Blake, is your next step. You're evolving next is how do you become a multiplier instead of an addition? Here's what I mean by that. Right now, you've got a phenomenal story. Yeah, you talked to some old guy in Dallas. You hired a concierge person. You made it your own, which is super cool. And then from there, you last 30 days of your investment in your business, working on your business, not necessarily in your business, working on your business, is doing the client concierge. And then from there, you got 17 referrals out, 2 referrals back that you're able to refer to your realtor, and you generated your realtor $30,000 in commissions.
Yep.
What is your marketing plan of how to build on your success that becomes your language when you're prospecting these big whale realtors?
So when, now that I'm built into this, like I said, I'm building out models and PowerPoints explaining the process, explaining how important that network is, and showing the realtors, obviously, that dollar value. We're still only a month in, so imagine what this dollar value could be in 2 to 3 months down the road. But now it's about building out the infrastructure to take it on the road, right? Yeah. Because then this is a attention grabber. When an agent sits down with you and says, well, what are you going to do for my team? Well, I'm going to really teach your team how to network, because they might not be getting the leads or the referrals that they feel like they should be getting. So, I did a presentation today with a real estate team that we close a lot of business with. And we're introducing now this concierge service, and I'm explaining to them, hey, I'm making this call. I need you to jump in on the 7-day phone call. We're going to send an email out. I need you to call the buyer and be like, wow, this is really great that Absolute's doing this. We do this. They're an extension of me. I'm their team. We are doing this together because we care that much about you. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm telling the realtor, leverage what we're doing to keep helping them grow their business, because, what's another one of your sayings, right? To get a referral, you got to give a referral. Right. And it's a lot easier to ask for a referral when we're on the other phone giving them something. Right. So I'm explaining to the realtors at that same time, know where our calls are, because then they can jump on and they can be supportive with it as well. Right. They can jump on and during the 30-day phone call, make sure that first mortgage payment got made, and then say, hey, financial advisor, CPA, you're good to go. And hopefully that'll start some dialogue there.
Well, I think the brilliant thing about that is you are building a culture with your referral partners that will become the stickiness of glue, and you got to like slap their spouse or something to ever get fired. It's super, super exciting to see. So here's a question for you, last question, and we'll wrap up. If someone out there wants to do what you've done, or afraid, or doesn't think it's going to be for them, or has reluctance, what is some of your wisdom that you can give them to help them get over that next step?
Well, they have to make it their own. Right. I think, you're never going to do something if you don't truly believe in it or want to do it. And that's kind of why I forced myself to rewrite the scripts. Right. Because I wanted to make sure it's something I really believed in and really understood. I didn't just take your script and just start reading off of it to the customer. Right. So I would tell them they got to really look at their business. Now, is it something that they 100% have to do everything? Like, do they have to do the 7? No, maybe they just want to do the 30, but figure out where they can fit it into their business.
Yeah.
And then implement it. Right. And I think that's the most important thing. Luckily for me, I loved all of it. I wanted to implement all of it. I wanted to see all of it, but it doesn't mean that a loan officer can't implement it in pieces. And if they're nervous about it, I always say the best thing to do is invest in yourself rather than somebody else. Yeah. So at the end of the day, if you're worried about spending too much money or losing too much on this, well, don't overvalue yourself. Let yourself dig through it a little bit. I was making the calls at first. I was calling the borrowers, seeing how they were reacting to the scripts, and they were loving it. So that's when I really said, all right, this was in June that I was doing that. I said, all right, let's hire somebody full time to work with me. And that's when we brought Grace on.
Well, I think it's amazing. But so I've got news for the whole group. What I'm really excited about is Blake was able to implement by me just giving him my manual. So it was on document. It was paper and pen, breaking down step by step the process that I built. We just completed our Client Concierge Academy. It's super phenomenal. It'll be released here at the end of this month. But what's super cool about it is 30 different videos, step by step, how to do a 7-day call, how to schedule a 7-day call, what technology you've got to use for the call, how you've got to set up, and the purpose. So everything's broken down. I'll be releasing that product here at the end of the month. But what's super cool is watching how much success Blake had and is going to continue to have without that head start. So I'll once that product gets released, man, I'd love for you to take a look at it and give me some feedback. And the goal of this is, hey, it took you 3-4 months or so to get off the ground, right? Yeah. I think what I'm really excited about is releasing this product, this Client Concierge process, that a loan officer can have this implemented within 30 days, and they're making an income, extra referrals, and extra commissions within 30 days. That's my mission. So, but man, I just got to tell you, like I said, you made my day and then some. I'm super excited for your success. The biggest compliment you or anybody else can ever give me is implementation. it hurts me sometimes when I hear from someone how great they feel I am, and that's great. And don't get me wrong, but unless they implement, I don't really feel like I've made a difference. It's more important for me to make a difference than it is for someone to think I'm great. And I really appreciate you allowing me to make a difference in your world.
No, man. Look, like I told you, I'm an open book. I appreciate you for all this. I appreciate you for opening up my eyes to it. And just like you're always a resource to me, I'll be a resource to anybody who's got any questions. And like you said, give back to the industry. It's important that we all kind of share, help each other.
Well, my last ask is you're a member of the 24/7 Mindset community.
Yep.
Be more active, man. I would love for you to post some of your successes on there. Just grab your phone whenever you get around to it, and some of your failures on there. Now everybody's going to see this live, and they're going to know about Blake Hyatt. And I want you to be a beacon. I want you to be their lighthouse, because you're an inspiration to so many because you implement.
You got it. I'll do that for you.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Have a good day. See you, buddy. Thanks again.
So thank you so much for listening today. It means a lot you took time out of your day. I don't take that lightly. Understand very clearly that you're very busy. With that being said, if you want to continue your journey and learn more about 24/7 Mindset, if you're on Facebook, which I'm going to guess you are, then go to 24/7 Mindset on Facebook and join the private community. I do coaching tips on there on a daily basis, but from scripts on there to systems on there, models, and the ability to be able to grow and scale a business while you have a quality of life. Hope to see you there.